On today's show, the Houston Rockets clinched their cup group with a 117-111 gut check overtime win against the Timberwolves. Alperen Sengun and Fred VanVleet led the way. Amen Thompson with some game-saving plays. We're going to break it all down for you coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh man, the Houston Rockets advance to the knockout round of the NBA Cup with a big-time win over the Wolves in OT. What's up and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Thursdays. Be sure to follow along wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets, where the best way that you can help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. While you're there, drop us a comment. Tell me your favorite thing, your favorite play, your favorite moment from this Rockets win, or just say go Rockets. It helps us out a ton. Also, be sure to subscribe to the new daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/gold. And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on your way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you so much for being an everydayer. Joining us now to talk about the Houston Rockets clinching West Group A, advancing to the knockout round of the NBA Cup behind a 117-111 overtime gut check gritty win against the Minnesota Timberwolves on a disgusting slime green court is none other than your weekly co-host, NBA draft enthusiast, and diehard Houston Rockets fan, Madison Moore. Madison, this game was an emotional roller coaster. It looked like the Rockets were firmly in control. They led by as many as 18. They watched that lead slip away. You're watching Anthony Edwards kind of start to cook and take over a little bit. You think, oh man, this is it. And the Rockets managed to pull it out of the mud. They forced OT. They got the win. Tell me how you're feeling after this game, man.
Man, I feel great, dog. I mean, these Rockets are rolling, dog. And I love the way they kind of got it out the mud. We've seen these Rockets go through so many iterations of their offense, especially down the stretch. It's really enlightening to see them grow into the team that they're growing in, how their offense is growing, how they're figuring out how this chemistry is really coming together. And I feel like this was like another hurdle the young Rockets had to jump. You know, going up big, losing a big lead to a really good team. I mean, this team was in the Western Conference Finals last year, and they are led by one of the top five player. You know what I mean? And so for the Rockets to withstand that type of comeback on the backs of their defense, on the back of Alperen Sengun, it was really enlightening to see, and really just good to see our guys play for one another and move the ball. And now we're starting to see guys get more in the rhythm and make more shots.
This was absolutely an inspiring win, and you know what a win means now here at Locked On Rockets.
Release the hounds.
Go find the Locked On Wolves YouTube channel and go let them know Locked On Rockets sent you in the comment section over there. All right, Madison, we gotta talk about the end of this game, though. The end of this game was just, I'm talking, like, this was maybe one of the most intense games that I've witnessed in recent Rockets memory. My heart was pounding. Like, it was literally pounding at the end of regulation here. Rockets managed to pitch a shutout, though. First off, this was a big time, I think, second half from Alperen Sengun. He really struggled in the first half, only 2 points. Really looked like he was, I don't want to say second guessing himself, but maybe trying to facilitate a little bit too much.
Yes.
Yeah, he had like 5 or 6 dimes.
Yeah,
by
no, he was
halftime.
facilitating. Yeah.
But there were definitely some shots that he first off missed that he should have made in the first half. Some point blank gimmies that he normally hits, and some moments where you thought, no, you need to be aggressive. You need to not be looking to pass as much. He did have a couple turnovers in this game. He had 20 of his 22 in the second half. He was a big driving force for the Rockets, building that 18-point lead and then being able to close this game out at the end of regulation and in overtime. But the guy that I want to talk about here for a moment first, got to talk about Amen Thompson and his defense in this game. Dude, he was unbelievable. So the Rockets starters plus Amen Thompson really locked in and brought this game home. At the end of regulation, Amen Thompson checked back in for Jalen Green with 2.5 minutes to go. The Wolves led 102-97. And then in that stretch, first off, The Wolves were held scoreless for those final 2.5 minutes of regulation. But in that stretch of time, Amen Thompson drew a charge on Julius Randle. Then on the very next possession, after a Fred VanVleet missed three-pointer, he ripped Rob Dillingham, who, again, got a little too big for his britches there, right? He tried to do a little bit too much at the end of regulation. You just got to find your star player, get the ball to Anthony Edwards. But he rips Rob Dillingham, goes the other way, coast-to-coast layup to tie the game at 102. A huge play for Amen Thompson. I mean, look, this was, and this doesn't even include, he gets to overtime, right? He hits the game-tying three in overtime. Rockets are down 105-102 right at the start of overtime. Gets a corner three-pointer, hits it with zero hesitation. That starts this 11-0 run for the Rockets to close out the Wolves in OT. I mean, Amen Thompson was an absolute difference maker in this game for Houston.
Yeah, man, I really love the inspired play by Amen. I would have liked to see him more on Ant in the beginning of the game, but he found his way there towards the end, right? And we got to see all the plays that Amen made all day. I think he had about 7 stocks tonight. Yeah. Just incredible all over the place. And like you said, offensively, and letting his defense lead to offense and really breaking the seal on the basket for the Rockets when they go through some of these really trudge and really gritty stretches where it's hard for them to put the ball in the basket. Sometimes you just need that one play that gets the offense going, and Amen often leads with his defense to break that seal on the basket. But then with the 3-point shot, I mean, this is Amen's biggest weakness, a huge shot. The Rockets go back down 3. We don't know if our team is still out of rhythm. The team had been out of rhythm the whole fourth quarter, or at least the back half of the fourth quarter leading into overtime. And it seemed to have started in the beginning of overtime. But when he hit that 3, you could just see the Rockets offense settle down and really start to execute, really start to lock down on defense and allow that to get them in rhythm and really let this team kind of, blossom down the stretch and in the ways that we love to see these Rockets grow. So, man, shout out to Amen for really getting these guys ignited, and shout out to Sengun for another triple-double, really inspiring play in the second half of this game, really carrying this Rockets offense throughout the second half of this game.
And for Sengun, first off, that Amen Thompson 3, it was an Amen Thompson 3, and then for the Rockets 11-0 run, Jabari hit a 2, Sengun hit a 2, then DB hit a 2, then Sengun hit another, kind of the final shot to really put this game away. And he, after that final that turnaround little, shot over Gobert, he hit him with the too small at midcourt, and everybody was around him. Amen Thompson put the too small thing down there. Fred was loving it. DB was loving it. It was a great little run, great retaliation from the Rockets after going down, after having to, claw back and force overtime from having that big lead. But Sengun's defense, man, as frustrating as the offense was for him in the first half, he found himself, he played like himself in the second half, and he still had a couple moments in the second half, some misses where he thought, man, this is, uncharacteristic missed shots from Alperen Sengun. But his defense in this game was flat out unbelievable. He had 3 steals, 3 blocks to go along with this triple-double. So Sengun on the night, 22 points, 9 of 23 shooting. Again, he struggled in the first half, but he was 4-4 at the free throw line, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 blocks. He was everywhere. Yeah. Sengun drew a charge at the end of the game not a charge, but an offensive foul on Rudy Gobert, right? Rudy Gobert was jostling for positioning under the basket, and Sengun had been fighting with him all night long. And so his defense really was sensational in this game.
Yeah, and just to add, I mean, he had a ton of plays he made down the stretch of this game. There was a big block on Rob Dillingham in the fourth quarter when they were really making a run and we really needed to get stops. Sengun continues to impress with his positioning and sneaky shot blocking activity. And also the trap on Anthony Edwards at the top. Man, that's just heady basketball, because that trap, you can tell it was something that developed naturally from good one-on-one basketball, and Alperen Sengun recognizing that and using the baseline to trap him and force an errant pass and a turnover. Those are the type of things that you have to make winning plays, and that's why we knew with Sengun's IQ, even though he didn't have all the physical attributes to be this incredible defender, he had the mind to start to make these type of plays and win with positioning and sneaky athleticism. And so, shout out to Sengun, man. Two-way. our two-way big, man. It's good to see.
Hey, he's graduated from an offensive phenom to a straight up two-way big. He's the two-way presence. Dillon Brooks called him the anchor the other night, and he was absolutely the anchor in this game for the Rockets. Coming up, we got to talk about how this game went. We got to get into a little bit of the game flow. The Rockets starters looked really dominant, minus Jalen Green. Unfortunately, got to talk about his struggles. The bench really cratering in this game. Tari Eason might be hurt. We really don't know. We're going to talk about that as well. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and can be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5, just $5, and win $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the exact same page where you actually place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. And while you're there, take a look at all the different odds that you can get involved in. Check out their parlay builder, different season awards, or the outright favorites to win this year's Super Bowl. Right now, the Detroit Lions plus 300, the Chiefs plus 500, the Eagles sitting at 650, the Ravens plus 700, and the Buffalo Bills also right there with the Ravens at plus 700. So for all those odds and so much more, head on over to FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, Madison. Now, looking at this game, I mean, when we talked about it being a roller coaster, the Rockets had multiple double-digit leads in this game. They felt firmly in control at various points. They had an 11-point lead in the first half. They had an 18-point lead in the second half. They shot the lights out of the ball in this game. One of their best shooting performances of the year. Especially coming off a game against the Blazers where they only made 8 threes total. They hit 6 threes in the first quarter of this game. Fred was on fire from long distance. As a team, they shot 40.5%, 15 of 37 from downtown. Fred hit 6 of 12. Dillon went 4 of 7. Jabari went 3 of 4. Those three guys, right, as part of the starting lineup, they really all had fantastic games to kind of help elevate this team and really push out some of these big leads that they built throughout the course of this game.
Yeah, I mean, I like to highlight Alperen Sengun's ball movement in the middle of the offense in that first quarter that led to so many open threes. I thought he did an amazing job finding guys. It's great to see Jabari finally finding his rhythm. We know he's a much better shooter than the way he's been shooting it this season. And so we got to shout out Jabari. He hit his first three, he scored the first 5 or 7 points. So it was great to see Jabari get going. And also, I got to highlight Jabari's defense tonight. I thought Jabari's defense was excellent, switching onto Ant, switching onto other guys, a real fulcrum. But
dude, that weak side block on Gobert at the rim, oh my God.
It was
the best block of his career. I'm saying it right now, best block of his career.
It was excellent, man. And that's what we've been wanting to see from Jabari. Give us a little bit more rim protection, man. Give us a little bit more weak side rim protection. You have the length. You have the foot speed to get there on time. And with that positioning and length, you should be able to make some of those plays. And not just that one. There was Julius Randle down the stretch of this game cooking Dillon Brooks, cooking him. And one of those plays, Jabari dug in and got the block, which led to a fast break. Excellent play from Jabari. We love to see him, really chip in defensively in the ways that we know he can with all his physical attributes, and also chip in offensively. I thought he ran the floor very well. He played within the structure of the offense, and he was the ultimate release valve. excellent stuff from Jabari. And I know I want to get into Fred too, but I really want to give Jabari his flowers because I thought he had a really underrated, impressive game.
And I don't even know necessarily if it was like underrated. He really was a difference maker in this game. And you kind of saw, first off, the Rockets, I think collectively the Rockets' whole defensive scheme was fantastic, geared to try and slow down Anthony Edwards, right? They were doing, we really haven't seen, we've seen the Rockets kind of, trapping and putting two on the ball, like in very situational moments so far this season. But for the most part, Ime Udoka really trusts his guys to guard one-on-one single coverage, right? They do a lot of pre-switching to keep Sengun out of the actions. In this game in particular, I was a little surprised to see Sengun just guarding Gobert, and they were settled on, okay, cool. If you're gonna get us, if Ant calls for a screen, we're putting two on the ball and forcing the ball out of his hands and making the other four guys on the court beat us. And there were still possessions where, Ant would get back into the play, or he'd get the ball, passed back to him after the initial trap or whatever. He finished the night with 29 points, but it took him 22 shots to get there. 8 of 22 shooting, only 3 of 12 from downtown. Like, that's honestly a pretty stellar defensive performance on Ant. And again, the Rockets do this defense thing by committee, right? They have possessions where it's Dillon Brooks guarding Ant. They have possessions where it's Jabari. There's possessions where Fred was guarding him. There's possessions where it's Jalen guarding him. Amen Thompson did a phenomenal job on him. Tari had some stretches that looked really good. And when you're able to throw that many different looks at an offensive player, it's got to be really hard for them to catch a rhythm, right? Because all these guys guard and defend in different ways, right? Amen Thompson and Tari Eason use their length, their size. Amen's using his speed. Jalen's using his quickness to try and stay in front. Dillon's being like that dog, extra physical, gritty, inside your jersey, really messing with you, trying to, push and shove you, all those little things. And that's like, honestly, that's what makes the Rockets such a dominant defensive team, is that they can throw so many different defensive looks at you. I do want to give Ime some credit, right, for the defensive game plan in this one to really slow down Ant.
Yeah, man, definitely love all the bodies he throws at Ant tonight. And of course, we love that trapping with Sengun, man. I mean, like we talked about in the first segment, it caused a turnover in a critical possession. But just to, really talk about some of the other guys as well. I mean, Dillon, I thought, really shot the lights out for most of the game. And ISO Dillon is like a thing. I don't know. Dude, down the stretch, ISO Dillon. Yo, ISO Dillon is like a thing, man. Like he's making mid-range shots. That scoop layup down the stretch was nice, bro. I'm like, jeez.
Look, Dillon is just a pure hooper. He really is. Like, he can go out there and he can get you a bucket. Like, it might not always be the prettiest, but I will say there was that one moment he had a blown drive. I don't know if this was in regulation.
It was terrible.
Was it OT or regulation?
It was in the fourth quarter, and he just anticipated. He got scared of Gobert.
No, because he was I know, because he was anticipating the contact from Gobert, and he does that on his drives where he does kind of like, it's not like a crab dribble, right? But he like does like a power dribble before he like elevates, and he was ready to like drop his shoulder into Gobert, and Gobert wasn't there, so he just like.
That was crazy. And it was like such an easy layup, and his power just took him out the play.
We're not gonna cook him too bad for that, because look, he was a big part of them getting the win.
He got it back with the scoop, man. He got it back with the scoop.
He did. He redeemed himself there. Look, let's talk about Fred here for a moment though, because Fred, I really do think Fred has turned it into another gear over these last 2 or 3 weeks or so, where he really understands that this team needs him to be an offensive threat on a nightly basis, and that's in large part due to Jalen Green's struggles, which we're going to talk about here in just a moment in our final segment. But, with Jalen not having it, Fred has to turn it to another gear. Fred has to be more aggressive offensively, and we're seeing him. This was a great bounce-back performance, considering his meltdown and his struggles last game against the Blazers, right? Was in foul trouble the first half, was inefficient, ineffective, had the emotional meltdown with the refs at the end of the game, last outing against the Blazers, to come back with a 27-point game, 10 of 25 shooting. He was 6 of 12 from downtown. There was a stretch there where it felt like he was maybe, I don't want to say taking bad shots in the fourth quarter. My whole thing was,
I'll say
see, here, I'm torn on it. And here's my, and let me lay my case, and you can disagree or agree with me. the bench was so bad, right? Ime had to break the glass and bring back his two difference makers in Fred VanVleet and Alperen Sengun super early in the fourth quarter. Like, he brought them back like a minute or two into the fourth quarter. First, he brought Fred back, and then he had to bring Alpi back like a minute or two later because they just couldn't get anything going offensively. The bench was just that bad in this game. So I do think there was a point where Fred and Alpi were both kind of gassing out in the fourth quarter. Where
Didn't they start the fourth? I think they started with Reed.
I know Fred started the fourth.
Yeah, Fred
started the fourth. I don't think, because Jock was still in the game, I believe. I don't think I'm mistaken on this, but let me see. Jalen Green.
I believe they all started the fourth.
No. Alpi subbed in for Jock 45 seconds into the fourth quarter.
Jesus Christ.
So see that, but that's how bad it was, right? Like, these guys basically had to play the entire fourth quarter. And when you have that much of an offensive load and offensive burden, like, what's the first thing that goes, right? Your legs. Your legs start to go. It makes it harder to hit those shots. I'm honestly surprised Fred went 6 of 12. I'm surprised he hit the big three at the very end of regulation, right? To make it 100-102. Like, that was a huge shot. So, like, there was definitely some moments from Fred. Like, give me your how did you feel about Fred in this game?
To me, Fred VanVleet is a championship level point guard who, to me, I hold to a higher standard than the way he decided to initiate the offense that was really struggling down the stretch. To me, he went into hero ball, and sometimes that works for Fred, where he takes early shot clock threes and he could bring you back into a game, just like a couple games ago. He did that in the third quarter and it got us back in the game. But he often, when those shots don't fall, he can shoot you out of a game. And our team was playing so great on defense that we really just needed to execute on offense. We didn't need hero ball. And to me, Fred VanVleet took way too many early shot clock threes in that fourth quarter. So much so that Alperen Sengun waved Fred VanVleet off one possession to bring the ball up because he had taken like 2 or 3 errant threes. He said, I got it, and took it up the court, drew a triple team, gave it to Fred, and that is the open three, the 1-3 he hit. A generated three from Alperen Sengun, from actually generating some gravity and getting some ball movement. And that's what we needed, and we got into that in that overtime period. And that's something I hope this team recognizes, go back and look on film and use it as a growing point on how we want to finish our games down the stretch. This team right now does not have a dynamic perimeter threat, does not have a dynamic perimeter closer, right? And they're going to have to do it by committee. They're going to have to run the ball through Sengun because he's our best offensive player and he knows how to make plays out of that, and also play for one another and move the ball inside out and let the collective effort score down the stretch. And you read the stat line in OT of the scores. Almost everybody in that lineup was a part of those closing time buckets. And I think right now, because we don't have a perimeter initiator who can go get his own shot every time, that's what it's going to have to be for this Rockets team.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. It definitely, towards the end of the fourth quarter, right, it felt like things started getting more and more chaotic, right? It started getting a little out of control. And Fred needs to be kind of that calming influence and just, hey, like, settle things down, whatever. And to Fred's credit, I do think it's got to be a tough position for him to be in, to look up and down the lineup and think, man, like, I got to be the one to get us the bucket, right? Like, I got to be the one to win this game for us. And it takes a lot of trust in your teammates to be able to say, you know what? No, I'm going to settle us down. We're going to get into a set, and wherever the ball ends up, whether it's in Sengun's hands, whether it's my hands, Dillon, Jabari, Amen, whoever, I'm going to trust that whoever gets the open look is going to hit that open look. And that's what happened in OT, but it took them a little bit took them, stumbling towards the end of regulation to get to OT, but they were able to close it out. It was a really exciting end of the game. It was a really encouraging sign to see, again, all the different hands kind of taking part in this Rockets win of all the 5 guys who were on the floor. But let's talk about the bench unit, man. We got to talk about the struggles from the second unit in this game. We got to talk about Jalen Green and what we saw from him in this one. We're going to get there in just one moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by BILT Rewards. Look, for anyone who rents, if you haven't heard of BILT, you're about to thank me. Earning points on rent is now a reality when you pay your rent through BILT. I wish somebody had told me about this back when I was still renting my apartment. You don't even have to check in with your landlord to start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and even your very next rent payment. Let me just break it down for you. There's no cost to join BILT, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. BILT points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 different hotels and properties around the world that you can redeem your BILT points toward. Points can also be redeemed toward a future rent payment and unique experiences that only BILT members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, why not? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. That's joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba. Make sure to use our URL so that they know that we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/lockedonnba to start earning points on your rent payments today. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast, home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. All right, the biggest issue in this game for the Rockets, Madison, you go back and you look at the plus minuses from the starting lineup, right? So Rockets won by 6. Jabari had a plus 30 in this game. Sengun had a plus 28 in this game. Fred had a plus 22 in this game. Look, that was kind of the big three for the Rockets in this one, but the bench unit was flat out killing the Rockets. And that's weird because usually the bench unit has been a source of strength for the Rockets. You know, these last few weeks, really, they've been on a tear. They've had, the Terror Twins have been super dominant, which, we'll talk about Tari, Eason here in just a moment as well. But the bench just could not figure it out in this game. And a big part of that was Jalen Green's continued struggles, but also Jock Landale, man. Jock's had a few, he's had a few good games this year, but it just, he doesn't fit the second unit. It feels clunky. Like he doesn't have the skill set to benefit anybody in that second unit. And in this game, he was being flat out taken advantage of by the Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, so Jock, I think historically hasn't been that good this year on defense, and that's been his biggest issue. But he typically gives you a little bit of something on offense, right? As a finisher, as a role man, as a playmaker out of those spots. And he didn't give us anything offensively or defensively tonight. And it's really unfortunate.
He was a big negative offense. Yeah, like he was ball stopping, he was making bad passes. Like it did not look good.
And it affects the flow of the game when you don't have an anchor who can anchor down. If Tari and Amen aren't making plays, then that unit isn't good. You know what I mean? And we can't just expect Amen and Tari to carry that unit every single night. There's going to be units where they don't get, 4 or 5 steals, back to back, right? And we need if we're going to play a big in that vein, we need more rebounding, more shot protection, and just better defensive anchor in the middle. And then it also doesn't help that I think the offense in the half court is really disjointed. Tonight, it almost seemed like, especially in the first half, they didn't know who they wanted to run the offense through. I feel like Jalen Green typically is who they run the offense through, but I feel like he didn't run very many plays. But I did see Tari run a couple. I seen Amen run a couple. I seen Reed run a couple. It just seemed like they were kind of going with the flow and whoever came up. And to me, they don't have an explicit goal that they're trying to do in the offense. What are we trying to get? What type of buckets are we trying to get? How are we trying to generate these buckets? And it's a lot of guys just freestyling at the top with a dribble handoff. And to me, Jalen wasn't being aggressive, demanding the ball. And if you're not getting stops, then just like that, we have 8-0 runs. You know what I mean? And I think that offense really needs an identity in that second unit. And with Jalen really struggling and other guys trying to pick up for his slack, his lack of aggressiveness, his inability to initiate offense with ball pressure, you know what I mean? With that happening, I think it's really bogged that offense down as well. And I'm advocating, man. I'm advocating for a change, man. Jabari Smith Jr. is playing better. He's becoming better, and we know how much lightning in a bottle it was to have Jabari Smith Jr. in those lineups. And if he continues to rotate and give us a little bit more as a rim protector, then he really could ignite the athleticism of that offense and really space the floor for that crew and let them get downhill, because that's what they do best. All three, Amen Thompson, Tari, Eason, and Jalen.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've been advocating for this for, I feel like, at least a couple weeks now on the show, but it feels like, look, the Steven Adams experiment, it's tough on the other guys to have him playing like one every 3 or 4 games. He does not look 100% healthy yet. Let him just sit out and get his health right, just like Jock Landale from last season, right? Yeah. Let him sit out, get in condition, whatever. And then Jock Landale, situationally, yeah, there's going to be certain matchups where you do want, a legitimate big to go in there and, throw his big body around, be a bruiser, get some rebounds, set some hard screens, whatever. But it just feels like allowing Jabari the chance to be the full-time backup 5 is the real move for this team. We know Ime likes to go with Jabari at the 5 situationally for defensive purposes, to be able to switch things 1 through 5. I don't know why we haven't seen the change happen sooner. It really feels like that's the direction this team ultimately should go with those backup minutes, and it would take a lot of some of that pressure off of Jalen Green, because, dude, here's the problem. I mean, Jalen in this game was just, he didn't really hurt the team, but he was just a non-factor. He didn't do anything. He had 9 points on 3 of 9 shooting. He was 1 of 5 from downtown. He got to the free throw line, hit 2 of them. He only had a few rebounds, couple assists, couple steals. Like, he had that one really good play where he got a steal at the half court on Ant and like went the other way for the dunk. Like, that's nice. But he played, 23 minutes of all the starters. He played 23 minutes. Every other starter, 45 for Fred, 42 for Sengun, 41 for DB, 38 for Jabari. Like, he only played 12 first half minutes. He gets his first little stint in the game, and then Ime's running with the bench unit. He's running with Tari and Amen and giving those guys the minutes, because they've just been more impactful as of late. And then even when he needed to try and like spell Fred late in the game, when he needed to put another ball handler back in the game, he could only do it for a small little stretch of time. Like, it's I don't know. It's tough looking at Jalen, man, because he had the possession where he got clamped by Rob Dillingham on a possession. Like, rookie Rob Dillingham, who can't play defense.
That's not the one for me. I feel like he didn't even try and attack Rob, which was also a disgrace and kind of a little soft. But right when he got in that almost forced turnover by Ant just applying ball pressure and him almost turning the ball over in crunch time, like, we can't have that. That's soft basketball. Take care of the ball. Go out there and play like you know how to play and initiate the offense. He cannot handle ball pressure. And that's all Rob Dillingham did in that play. Apply some ball pressure, and he just throw it back to whoever's in the middle and try and reinitiate that offense. But he's not going to get the ball back every time in that situation. People know what you're doing. You need to be able to not let people speed you up, to have a tight handle, to bump guys off you, give them a little move, bring it back, and create space. And then run the offense, initiate the offense like we know you can. And if you can't do those things, Jalen, then you're not going to be the player that you want to be, and your career is not going to go that way. So he really needs to get in the gym and figure out how to not get sped up, because that's all these guys are doing, is speeding him up. And I think there's some things like adding Jabari to the offense that could really help him out. Also playing more off ball and letting him attack off of closeouts. I think he played actually pretty well with the starters. When the starters are in and he was playing as just like an ancillary piece with them, I thought he was pretty good. He can focus in on defense. He doesn't have to initiate the offense. He can really attack. But now when he needs to be the guy in those second units, in which he should be relishing those opportunities, he needs to be able to handle ball pressure and react to what defenses are throwing at him.
Yeah. Look, I mean, those second units are essentially built for Jalen Green to go out there and be able to cook, right? I mean, that's his line. Every shot from that second unit could go to Jalen Green, and that's probably more or less the dynamic. Is Jalen, go out there, read the defense. If you can get downhill and draw a foul or get to get a shot at the rim, awesome. If they're going under on screens, you want to pull up for 3, great. If the defense sends 2 to the ball, then you kick it to the open man, right? Like, that's what that second unit is geared towards. But when Jalen is being as passive as he was in this game, right? You talked about the lack of like any kind of identity in that second unit. It was very frustrating to watch. You've got a guy who's supposed to be your star 2 guard, your future star 2 guard, whatever, and he's just out there not commanding the basketball, letting other guys. There's no reason for Tari, Eason, or I mean, to a lesser degree, Amen Thompson has.
Yes.
I mean, but even Amen Thompson's not a half court threat yet, right? Like, he's not the guy that you really want trying to attack the defense in the half court.
I mean, that's the issue that we're having too many possessions where I call it exploratory possessions, where Tari, Eason, and Amen Thompson are trying to explore their games and see where they are, and that's just not, they're not good enough at those things yet. They're pieces that really can feed off the offense that others create for them, and as they're trying to explore their games, and if we're not getting stops because of Jock Landale, you know what I'm saying, and the rookie mistakes of Reed Shepherd, then we get 8-0 runs just like that. We have, I feel like in those units, Jalen may initiate the play twice, right? And might generate a decent shot in one of those, right? 50, but then the other guys are trying to explore their games, right? Jalen is getting cut off because of ball pressure, and he has to reinitiate the play by giving it back to the big, and then they cut him off, and so they can't give it to him anymore. And now we're running it to the opposite side where Tari Eason is, and now it's bad offense. That's what it is, right? And it's from our inability to run those plays, and it's a stark contrast to our starters, who Fred VanVleet, who gets us into good offense consistently, who Alperen Sengun, who gets us into good offense, who sets solid screens, who rescreens well, who makes plays out of the short roll. That's good offense, and that allows for the other guys to get involved in, and we just don't have that in that second unit.
And we've seen it before. Ime's tried to stagger Sengun and Fred before, and then but they're so good together, you don't really want to take them apart from each other, right? So you're basically just hoping. And so far this season, Tari and Amen have been able to help buoy those second units, and with just their energy, their defense, their impact, they've been able to either to claw some leads back or expand on some leads. That's just, they've been such difference makers. But in this game, Rockets only had 18 bench points, 15 of those from Amen Thompson, compared to 44 bench points for the Wolves. Naz Reid, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Rob Dillingham were sensational in this game off the bench for the Wolves. Tari Eason, though, really, a few games in a row really struggled kind of offensively. This one, 0-5 shooting, had that really hard fall where he it looked like he got fouled by Gobert. They challenged it. They overturned the call because Tari kind of held him back with the off arm. And then he hit the deck really hard. He was laboring going back to the Rockets bench. And apparently he went back to the locker room for a little while. He did reportedly come back to the bench, but we don't have an official Rockets update on him, unfortunately. So, I mean, I guess the only thing... Actually, I take that back. I have one quick update. Apparently, when he did go back to the locker room, it was not injury related. So hopefully that's a good sign for Tari Eason moving forward, that he's not, hurt or won't miss any time or anything. That was a little bit concerning that we didn't see him checked back into the game at any point, because, it really felt like the Rockets could have used him at various points down the stretch, right, to spell some of the other guys, to give some guys a little bit of rest. But look, this was a big, exciting win. Rockets have now clinched their West Group A for the Cup tournament. And the other exciting part about this is they are pretty much, I don't want to say guaranteed, but they are very close to essentially being a host team for the quarterfinals for the in-season tournament, which means that because the first game, the quarterfinal game or whatever, those are played in market, and then the semifinals and the finals are obviously played in Las Vegas for the NBA Cup. So if the Rockets, because they've got a plus 49 point differential, and they factor in point differential when it comes to deciding where the home games are played versus if you go on the road or whatever. Apparently, these are the scenarios for the Rockets to become a home court team. As we're recording this, if the Lakers lose against the Suns, Rockets are going to host a home game on December 10th or 11th. And the Lakers are currently losing 115-88 with only 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter as we're recording this. So Rockets are probably going to host a home game for the quarterfinals. That's exciting stuff. Go on over to Game Time. Get yourself a ticket to the quarterfinals game once it's posted on the schedule. Madison, you got any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
Just go Rockets, man. We should enjoy this season. I think this is an incredibly fun season. The Rockets are giving us everything we were patiently waiting for. And so that's my final thoughts, man. Keep going, Rockets, and can't wait to see us in the in-season tournament. I think it's an exciting time for a young team trying to prove themselves, to really play some high-stakes games, man, and get that money in, man. The dog's out there, dog. It's $500,000 on the line. Let's go get that money.
Coaches are dogs. All the players are dogs. I'm a dog. That's just what it is.
That's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Rockets. As always, thanks so much for checking out the show. Remember, the best way you can help us grow our show is to listen every single day on a podcast platform of your choosing. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Drop us a comment while you're there. Subscribe to the new daily Locked On Rockets newsletter. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.